Welcome to Sissygram Spicy Story channel. If you like my voice, then hit the like button and do subscribe our channel for regular updates. Today I come up with whole new content of story. So, now let's start the story. It began like any ordinary evening. My husband and I had just returned from dinner, and everything seemed perfectly normal, or so I thought. Little did I know, that night would mark the start of something unimaginable, something that would forever alter how I saw him, how I saw myself, and how I understood love. We had always shared a passionate relationship. From the moment we met, there was an undeniable spark, a connection that drew us together in ways I couldn't explain. He was charming, confident, and carried an air of mystery that always intrigued me. Our relationship wasn't without its challenges, but I believed we understood each other, that our love was strong enough to weather anything. But that night, something shifted. It began with a conversation that seemed innocent at first. We were sitting on the couch, sipping wine, when he turned to me and asked a question that completely caught me off guard. His voice was calm, but there was something in his eyes, something dark, unfamiliar. "What would you think about being with someone else?" he asked, his tone so casual. It sounded like he was asking about dinner plans. At first, I laughed, assuming he was joking. But when I met his gaze, I realized he wasn't. His expression was serious, and it sent a wave of unease through me. "I'm serious," he continued, leaning in closer. "What if we brought someone else into the bedroom? It could be fun, exciting." I was stunned. We had never discussed anything like this before. The idea of being with someone else, let alone more than one person, had never crossed my mind. A swirl of emotions flooded me: confusion, fear, curiosity. "I don't know," I muttered, trying to gauge whether he was testing me or if he truly meant it. "Why are you asking me this?" He shrugged, flashing a smile that once melted my heart but now only deepened my discomfort. "I just thought it might be something you'd enjoy," he said. "I've noticed the way you look at other men sometimes." His words hit me like a punch. I hadn't realized he'd noticed those fleeting glances, harmless, momentary thoughts I never intended to act on. But now, with his admission, I felt exposed, as though he had been watching me more closely than I realized. "Don't worry," he added, sensing my unease. "It's natural. We're human. We have desires, fantasies." A part of me wanted to shut down the conversation, to pretend it had never happened. But another part of me was intrigued. His suggestion stirred something within me, a temptation I hadn't allowed myself to acknowledge before. Before I could respond, he leaned in and kissed me at first. It was soft and familiar, but it quickly grew more passionate. His hands roaming over my body. I melted into him, as I always did. But this time, an unspoken tension lingered between us. The question hung in the air, unanswered. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what he had said. I replayed the conversation over and over, wondering if he was serious or if it was a fleeting thought. But every time I looked at him, I saw the same expression. He was waiting for an answer, waiting for me to decide. And then, one night, it happened. We were at a small party with close friends. Most of the guests had left when my husband introduced me to two young men I hadn't met before. They were confident, attractive, and immediately struck up a conversation with me at first. It was harmless small talk, light banter and laughter. But as the evening wore on, I felt the tension building. My husband stood across the room, watching me intently, His eyes never leaving me, I knew what he was thinking, what he wanted. And for the first time, I wondered if I wanted it too. The two men were charming, and I couldn't deny the pull I felt toward them. There was something thrilling about the way they looked at me, a mix of danger and excitement that made my heart race. Eventually, my husband joined the conversation, his hand resting on my lower back. His touch was guiding, urging, pushing me towards something I wasn't sure I was ready for. Before I knew it, we were back at our house. The air was thick with anticipation, the tension almost suffocating. My husband poured drinks, and the four of us sat in the living room. The silence heavy with unspoken desire. Their eyes were on me, watching, waiting. My heart pounded, and I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice, teetering on the brink of something irreversible. And then it happened. One of the men leaned in and kissed me. It was soft at first, then more urgent. My husband watched silently, his expression unreadable, though I could sense his approval. Soon, the other man joined in, and I was swept away by the intensity of the moment. It was overwhelming, new, thrilling, and utterly consuming. My body responded in ways I didn't expect, and I found myself surrendering to the heat of the moment. My husband's presence loomed over us, his gaze guiding the encounter and pushing me further than I thought I could go. A part of me wanted to stop, to pull away, but another part, the part I had buried deep within, was drawn to the experience, to the thrill of the unknown. By the time it was over, I was left in a haze of passion and confusion. I had crossed a line I never thought I would, and I knew there was no going back. In the days that followed, I was consumed by a mix of guilt, shame, and a strange sense of satisfaction. My husband seemed pleased, as though his fantasy had been fulfilled, but I was left grappling with emotions I didn't know how to process. I had done something that went against everything I believed about love and trust. Yet, I couldn't deny the exhilaration of stepping outside the boundaries of our relationship. As time passed, the excitement faded, replaced by regret. My relationship with my husband was never the same. The trust that once bound us was shattered, and though we tried to move forward, a lingering tension remained, a sense of betrayal neither of us could escape. I often wonder if things would have been different if I had said no, if I had stopped things before they went too far. But all I'm left with now is the memory of that night, the night my husband led me into something I didn't truly want. This is a story of love, desire, and betrayal, a story many might relate to, yet one that feels deeply personal and painful. It's a reminder that love isn't always black and white, and that the lines between right and wrong can blur in ways we don't anticipate. But through this experience, I've learned an important lesson. True love, the kind that lasts, is built on trust, mutual respect, and understanding. Without those foundations, even the strongest relationships can crumble, leaving behind nothing but heartache and regret. To where the story wraps up. Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you soon. See you next time.